so we are back here with another Welly Merck. Full disclosure, they mailed me this one, so I didn't pay for it. I bought the one that I reviewed earlier last week, but I want to dive into this one. It's a different style watch. I want to kind of check them out because I was really impressed with the last one, so I do want to see what's different. First off, the box itself is different, which is interesting. Popping it open, it also inside is different. It's in this little kind of travel case. Also has a link removal tool there on the inside, which is really nice. Some only give you like a screwdriver or other stuff like that, so it's nice to have everything you need. The case itself is really nice. And there's the watch. It's kind of like, it's hard to describe. I would say it is somewhat reminiscent of a Seamaster, somewhere in that ballpark. Maybe just the coloring is making me think of that, but yeah, it's not grabbing my eye as to, oh, this is a straight homage of that, which I do really like in watches when they're not just straight copies. So let me pop this out of this case and then let's take a closer look and let's see what we think about this watch. All right, so here is this watch face up close. As you can see, it has somewhat of a textured dial. I will show you that a little up closer in a little bit. I have some more detailed shots of that, but it's interesting, kind of like a tribal design around the bezel. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that. It looks like they're trying to stick with the dive bezel design where you have the 15-minute marker over here and then the rest, and it does move. The bezel is adjustable. So if you're going to do something that, in my opinion, is designed, I would kind of prefer if it doesn't move, so you could just keep the design. The bracelet is cool. It is not very tapering, which I don't love, but I understand it. The clasp is very nice. It's a very, very sturdy clasp, which I dig. Nice little display back there with a logo on it that kind of looks like some sort of tree. And it says, let's see if we get a review here. It says, believe what it says also here, which is Du Huang. Let me confirm if I do not speak Chinese, so either Dun Huang or Du Huang is what it says. But now let's dive into just the overall dimensions of this watch. Get a little more detail on it. It is a 42 millimeter dial diameter. The bandwidth is 22 millimeters and it is 13 millimeters thick. So it is actually half a millimeter thicker than the watch I previously did, which I thought already was somewhat thick. So that is very interesting. This, from what I can tell, is not a sticker. So the crown is color coded to be in the same color as the bezel and the second hand, which I think is cool. But let's look a little closer at the dial. I'm going to put a close-up here so you can see it, but I'll also zoom in. It is interesting. It looks almost kind of like cracked concrete. I feel like the overall vibe they were going for was maybe like a meteorite or some sort of marble, something in that world. I don't think it really hit the mark there, but it doesn't look bad. I think that little squiggle from, let me see if I can point it out, from like the 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock marker area over to around 8 o'clock looks a little bit weird. And I don't love the 12 o'clock marker, the little cross up there, but I do overall like the design itself. I think it's very original looking, and I think it's definitely going to suit a lot of people out there who are looking for something a little more different. That being said, I don't think it necessarily suits my eye, but it does not look cheap. It doesn't look weird. It just doesn't necessarily suit me. I also don't love that the bezel is two different logo kind of designs. I wish these were the same and just the color changed. It kind of stands out to me as strange. But let's throw this on the wrist. Let's check out the lume, and then let's just kind of go over my overall feelings of this watch as a whole. Throwing the watch on the wrist here, it does wear nicely. If you do have a large wrist, I do think this will also be a little bit large on you. The bracelet is definitely a little too chunky for my personal liking. I do really like the clasp, and I like the way the clasp wears. I picked it out because I don't have anything that's kind of green in my collection, but I think that's for a reason. I really don't love the color green on watches. One thing that I also want to point out that I don't love is one of the accent colors. The screws used here to attach the bracelet to the case are gold. I do wish those were silver. I think it would look a little more natural. And they're also some sort of like weird like hex screws, which is interesting. They're like, I don't even know if they're screws. They gotta be screws, but I'm not totally sure what they are. It's definitely something I haven't noticed before on a watch, so it's catching me a little off guard as to what it is, but it's very interesting. Let me check out the lume on this, and then I will give you my overall feedback. The lume on this watch overall is very good. You have all the hour markers, you have the minute and the hour hand, and you also have that 12 o'clock logo up at the top. It's interesting, the hour markers, the hour and minute hand are a different colored lume than the hour markers. I don't love that, but it's kind of cool. It helps you differentiate them a little bit, but it was a very strong lume, and it lasted quite a while. So total A+ there on the lume. So this watch is definitely very interesting to me. First off, I want to just be appreciative. A big shout out to Welly Merck for sending me this. I loved the previous watch, so I'm really, really happy to be able to test these, review them, let you guys see them. That being said, I'm not a huge fan of this watch. I think the overall quality of the watch is very, very well done. I think this is a great made watch. The price point is right around $120 for this. There are a lot of colorways, so you could definitely find something that fits exactly what kind of suits your eye. But that being said, there seems to be just design-wise a little bit kind of all over the place design-wise. The kind of meteorite dial with the weird kind of textured bezel. I'm personally struggling to see how it all ties together design-wise and looks-wise. The little Chinese town that it's made in, I think, is nice, but it's such small font that it's hard to see, and you can't really tell if that's a design on the face of the watch or if it's words. It's a very, I feel like it's an all over the place kind of watch design. If it suits your eye and it's a design you like, there are so many options and there's a lot of them out there, so definitely check them out. I think you'll be happy with the design of the watch, but I also forgot to mention the crown does not screw down, so I just want to throw that in here. I meant to say that earlier, so I wouldn't recommend swimming with this, but yeah, very appreciative to have this watch, but if it's something that you're looking for in the overall dive watch world, I don't know if this is going to fit your eye. It didn't fit my eye, but let me know what you guys think down below and tell me, is this a watch you'd want to wear, or what would you do differently design wise to make this something that you'd be more into?